So what we're going to do here is, first of all, finish up Excel 3 and go over our what if analysis and also make some charts. We haven't made a chart yet. So let's start up Excel and finish that project. Here is the original one we did from section 1. I'm going to close that one and we'll open this class's version, Excel 3 section. Here we go. So here's what we have so far. We have our projected revenues, and then a lot of formulas that we're referencing our assumptions. And we calculate at the end of the year our final operating income after going through an if formula, calculating our bonus, all these numbers, a percentage of our revenue based on assumptions. And now we want to do our what if analysis. We had our original assumptions here, and let's check those numbers. You had a question about your bonus. Okay, so yeah, my revenue for bonus was 1,250,000, and there in column D we did not meet the quota in our revenue, and column F we did not meet the quota, as well as column G. That's why the bonus was not always 5,000. So check that your revenue projections are correct, then all these formulas should come out, and we came out with the resulting end of the year operating income. Question?
For the charts on column I, so when I click on the first one, it doesn't select all, but if I click on like the second and third, it selects all the other charts. Is that problematic?
What happens when you click on them?
So when I click on the first one, it's just like that, but if I click down a couple, like that one, it selects all of them. Does that?
Oh, no, that's not a problem.
Okay.
And I notice my colors aren't the same. I'm going to select through all of them and make sure I choose the same color scheme for them. Under the spark line, I will choose the same color for all those spark lines. Apparently it has them grouped in some way. Don't worry about that. The main thing is to remember, you can create these silly little charts. You can turn them into line charts. You can turn them into win-loss charts. Column charts are about as interesting as line charts. But they're little eye candy. Not much there except, it kind of gives you a general trend in a tiny little chart. We're going to be doing some real charting now. But first, let's check our what if analysis. We have our original data. We made a copy of that. Remember how I make a copy? I can right-click, move or copy, and then tell it to make a new sheet. And that made me an assumptions sheet. Part of what if analysis is knowing what the changes are. So let's add a little column to this first assumption sheet. Let's put a column called change. And let's make that bold. That's going to be the heading. And let's shade that down, all the way down to there. Give that a shade because we're going to highlight any changes that we have made. And I'll highlight them in a gray. And let's put a border on that just for fun, a thick border. And now let's calculate a formula. If I make a change to my margin here, when I make a change here, I want to keep track of what changes I made, because what if analysis is all about what was the original data, what change did I make, and what was the result. So to keep track of our changes, if I ever make a change to margin or bonus, let's have it be equal to the current value here, which is B19, minus the previous one. Well, that's over on the other spreadsheet. This is where the point and click, it really comes in handy. I can simply click over on the original, click on that cell that has the margin, and hit enter, and notice it puts in the reference to that cell B19 on the original sheet by just naming the sheet, exclamation point, the cell number. So you can actually have formulas that cross multiple spreadsheets. Pretty cool stuff. And now we can fill handle that down. Yeah. Let me do that again. So I want to say equal. The change is going to be equal to what I have here. That's in B19. Subtract what I had over in B19 on the original spreadsheet. So I click there, and while I'm still in the formula, I can click and go click that cell, and I see, that's going to be original, exclamation point, B19. I hit enter before clicking anywhere else, and it enters that formula for me. And now I can fill handle down. Notice I haven't made any changes yet. So now is where we can do our what if analysis. I can just make a change to, let's say I want to make some more money. Those guys are getting paid too much. Let's reduce salary to be 15% of our projected of our projected revenue. And look at that, we're making more money. Oh, so what? They can't feed their children anymore. We're making more money. Yeah.
What would cause it to like say B19 minus assumptions instead of original if you put it on the original sheet?
You talking this formula here?
Yeah, mine says like B19 minus assumptions B19, but I clicked on the original sheet.
Is the name of that original sheet original? It should. Let me check. It should have come out. Right. Let's see how you do on that.
I started actually doing that.
Oh, that's just because you're clicking all over the place and it's adding them. So yeah, so you can backspace over or just hit enter. Yeah, go ahead and backspace over. So it's just B19 minus. Okay, now go to the original. Click on B19 and hit enter. Don't click anywhere else. There we go. And now fill that out. Yeah, that point and click. The one thing about the point and click is if you don't hit enter, it'll start adding crazy stuff to your calculation. So once you're done with the calculation, always hit enter before, hit enter or escape if you're not going to change what you have. If you're happy with it, hit enter, and then you can click somewhere else, and it won't mess. Now see here, the change shows up in my changes column, and I see the result now in the operating income. We're not quite done with what if analysis because we need to make it clear, first of all, the original, we'll call it the original operating income, the original very important number. And then we had the resulting operating income. And changes, we can just see over here. We'll just call this see changes to the right. Changes. Yep. All right, just a second. We'll do this and I'll come help you in a second. Okay, so we have the original income. What's the original income? Well, it's the value over here. So I can just type equal, sorry, not the value over here. It's the value over here and original right there and enter.
Wait, what did you do?
I have it referencing what's over there in the original spreadsheet. So I type equal, and I just went over to the original spreadsheet and clicked on where that operating income is in the original and hit enter. The result is, well, what's here? I can just type equal, point and click, or type H16. So I see the changes, and let's go we'll put in here the difference in that operating income. Well, that's equal to this current income minus the original. So I improved my income, operating income, by that much. So I reference the original operating income on the first page, which is that formula. And on this page, it's over there in H14. This comprises what I need to do in a what-if analysis. Time for a little help over here. Oh, these are simply referencing the projected income from the original. This is a reference to original cell 816. So on the original sheet, it's simply an equal and then a reference to the cell. And this one here is simply equal and a reference to cell 816 on this spreadsheet. And then this is just a difference of the two, the result minus the original. So the result minus the original is whether I'm making more money because of my changes. So right now, I am making more money. Let's just say, you know, they went on strike because of our proposal. They want now 25% of our revenue to be their salary. Okay, bump it up. Uh-oh. We're making less money now because we had to bump up their salary in our assumptions. And we go to the board and say, They're on strike. There's our resulting loss of 390 grand, but we have very happy workers that will say, oh yes, they're from Emmaus. We want them to be happy because they're such wonderful workers. So yes, it's worth it because they're happy and well fed. So conditional formatting. One more thing about conditional formatting. Suppose you messed up on your rule and you want to try that again. You can go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and I have to select the cells where I applied them to. Now I go manage rules on the cells. There it shows the rules I have in there. I can always click on a rule and edit it in case it's wrong or I didn't like that formatting. You can always go back and edit or delete them and start over. You can delete your rules, or you can edit them either by double clicking or click and edit. And I can change the formatting or change the rule. Let's do that one more time just for practice. But we want to make the chart before we do our practice. Let's go complete this assignment. We have one more thing to do. We've done a what if analysis. I can make any change here. It shows my changes. Let's go back. I can always go back to my original. That's why it's so great to make a copy of your original calculations, then mess with all your assumptions. Then you can always go back to this one and remember what you started with. It's so easy to mess with it and figure out, well, we got a really good result, but how did we do that? Oh, and one more thing now. Remember the goal seek. What will it take? Right now, we gave more income to our salesmen by increasing their salary. What if we want to change this so we have the same operating income as last time? The goal is to have this reach a difference of 0. How do we get this to 0? What should we change? Let's do a goal seek so we don't lose any money, although we want to pay them 25% instead of the 20%. Here's where the goal seek comes in handy. I can choose to go to conditional formatting, for data, what if analysis, goal seek. Data, what if analysis, goal seek. And what we want to do is figure out this cell here that we had selected, yes, cell F21. I want that to have a value of 0, meaning I'm making the same amount of money in the end of the year. By changing cell, this is where the goal seek kind of falls down. You can only change one cell. In reality, you'd be doing a combination of margin and bonus. Let's just see what it would take. We've manually changed salary to 25%. Could we get a lower cost rental either by moving to a lower cost office or abandoning our office and all working remotely from home? Could we get back to not losing money? Well, let's let Excel figure out how much we could spend on site rental, how much less, in order to not lose money. By changing our difference, have our difference result in a 0 difference between the original and the new assumptions. I click OK and see if it can find a value of site rental. If it ever goes negative, I know it's not worth it. Oh, look at that. It found a value for site rental. That would mean we don't lose money. It reduced site rental to 5%, and now we're back to our original operating income at the end of the year. Excel did the work for us using the goal seek. So I could make a copy of this and say, here's what it would take if we want salary 25%. Excel helped me find the value for site rental. If I click on that, I might find the exact number of site rental. I'm surprised it went to exactly 5% to get that value. But that shows me what goal seek can do. And if I want to make a snapshot of that, I can right click, move or copy, make a copy of this one, put it at the end, and I'll give it the name goal seek. I did a move or copy, result. I made a copy of assumptions 1 after letting Excel do a goal seek on site rental that would get me back to not losing money after raising salary 25%. So very powerful tool. I could have tweaked this manually and finally found out, oh, that's what will get me there. But let's let Excel do the work. So just for fun, I'm going to do another goal seek on the original, on this assumptions. Let's say I want to make 5 million in my operating income this year. What would it take to get 5 million? Well, let's have Excel do a what if analysis goal seek. I want to have my resulting operating income be 5 million. What's it going to take? Well, set that cell there, result of operating income. I want it to be 5 million. Well, what cell should I change? I have to decide. Should I change salary or bonus? It looks to me like salary is what I'm going to have to change because that's the largest part. I look at these numbers, I see salary is the big number. What would it take? Well, let's change cell B22 and find out what it would take. Oh, I can reduce their salary to only 3.5% of income, and I will reach a goal of 5 million at the end of the year. And I can say, well, okay, I know that. I can't do that, so I can cancel that goal seek, and it puts the numbers back to where they were. You can Control Z undo it if you. Yeah, Control Z will always undo, but this lets you play with the numbers. Remember, you always can go back to your original. What did we originally projecting? Let Excel give you the estimates. Okay, so that's goal seek. Now it's time to make a chart. We would like to see a chart. It's going to be a more complicated chart than a pie chart. Right now we could say with a pie chart, oh, give me my months and then the total expenses for each month. I could get a pie chart of that. But what if I want to list for each month the expenses for that month? That's a lot of data. Well, here's how we could do that. To get a more fancy chart, I choose the blank cell there in A3 all the way out to June. Those are going to be my main sections of data. Then I Control select bonus down to miscellaneous through June. It's a little weird here when you first select, like, why should I select a blank cell? It's because I also want to include this column in the sub-items to graph. What kind of graph will work for this? Well, let's go to Excel and see what chart they recommend. And they recommend right away, oh, a cluster chart. That would be a great way to display this complex data. So not only are you know how to do pie charts, you can do complex data charting using clustered column charts. I click custom clustered column and click OK. And it produces a clustered column chart right on top of my data. Let's go ahead and right click move chart because we want to put that on a separate tab. It creates a chart for me. I'm going to move it and then I'm going to edit the look of it. So move that to a new sheet and let's call it projected chart. Projected chart. Whatever, that will be the name of the tab. There's the tab. Let's give it a better title than that. Let's call it in the title, let's replace the title with projected, that goofy curses in my, projected 6 months sales. 6-month expenses. A little small, so I'm going to Control Shift greater than that whole title. Oh, for some reason it chose that word. Let's undo that. I want the whole thing to get enlarged. Click on the border. There, the whole thing enlarged now. There we go. And I spelled it wrong. Fix my spelling. Projected 6-month expenses. Beautiful chart, but completely illegible legend. Let's choose a different style here under Chart Design. And I can hover over each style and get a preview of it. I like that when I see my data labels. That's kind of nice. Here I can, it's a little fancier graphically. The legend, there's numbers that aren't readable. If I'm going to see the numbers, they better be somewhat readable. That's not bad. I don't see my numbers. Let's see, I could always mess with that. I like, let's try that. Let's try this one. Let's see if we can modify this one. I like the drop shadow. Not that thrilled with dark mode, but let's see how we can make that look. So there's dark mode graph. Click that. But I want to see a better than, actually the legend is a little more readable with dark mode. I can see a little better what colors mean. But let's see what we can do with viewing the actual values. I can kind of get an estimate of what the values of the columns are here. And under the legend, I can see the categories. Let's see if we can label this a little better. Let's go to the plus. And let's choose our data labels. Let's see, if I just check data labels, they can be horizontal at the end of the column. Let's see what other options I have in data labels. I can decide where the data labels will appear. Inside base, though they're completely unreadable, they're all overlapping. Outside end, that's a little better. Data callout, somewhat readable, but a little messy down in the lower columns. Let's go to more options and see what more options gives us. Here underneath the chart, I can click here, and under my label options, I can open that up, and I can see the labels can show the actual category. Oh, but it only applies to the current one selected. I can show legend key or not in each label. So the label options, for some reason when I go to label options, it only affects one set of labels. And if I click on other labels, I can adjust their display as well. So it's a little goofy how the label options work. Let's turn that off. Let's just go back here, select the chart and the plus, and let's just say show data labels, and let's choose where they go. How about inside end? I think they need to be outside end. Data callout's too much. Let's just go outside end. And if I do more options, does it still go back? Yeah, that's strange. When you do more options, it only will change the first set of labels. And I can also decide I don't need to see that legend. It's completely worthless to me. But now I don't know what the bar's colors mean. So we'll leave the legend on, I guess. It's slightly more readable. Oh, and now it decides the legend goes there now that I turned it back on. Let's control the location of our legend and put it back at the bottom. Or how about the top? I think top is better. We'll go top. A lot of noise down there at the bottom. I'm going to put it at the top where it's less noisy. Notice when I chose my new style, the title got smaller. Let's click that title and enlarge it again. And now I have a lovely clustered chart. The more options gives you a lot of capabilities, but it's a little goofy. Once you go to more options, and especially when you go to your labels, it only affects certain labels. So there we have a lovely chart. And this is almost ready to submit, but we're going to do some practice before leaving Excel behind. We're going to do one more thing in Excel with Google spreadsheets, cloud spreadsheets. But we want to do a little practice on the if formula. Like I promised, we've done the charts. Now let's practice the if formula, and we've already practiced conditional formatting a bit. Let's practice the if formula and absolute referencing to make sure you get a decent handle on those concepts. So let's start a new spreadsheet, our new tab in this spreadsheet. Click the plus, and let's give that a name, practice. Practice. And I'm going to move that to the end just because it's, let's see, I have to click off it. Now I can move it. I'm going to move that to the end, the last tab in this spreadsheet. And let's do some practice. This is practice with the if formula. Here we go. You'll be given a statement like this and some problems. Let's say we have a bonus of let's say $10,000. Your quota is 1,000. And I'll say my count and my bonus. And the problem will be stated in this manner. I receive the bonus when my count meets or exceeds the quota. What is the formula for my bonus? I'll give you a clue. It's going to start with equal if, left parenthesis. What should I put here? What is the logical test? We must state it in a way that Excel understands. My bonus is this. The quota is this. My count is this. What is the logical test of me getting a bonus? Those scary word problems in math coming back to you? Meets or exceeds, my count meets or exceeds the quota. How do I put that in mathematical terms? Yes, Andrew.
You're saying if B6 is equal to or greater than that thing, then
The quota?
add the bonus.
Yeah, so if B6 greater than or equal, that's how we can say meets or exceeds. And meets or exceeds what? The quota, and it's sitting there in B5. So I point to B5 or type B5. Does that make sense? My count meets or exceeds the quota. That is the logical test. So then I hit a comma to now say, well, what is the value I get if I meet or exceed the quota? Well, it's sitting there right there in B4. That's my bonus. What do I get otherwise? Comma, value of false. What do I get for a bonus if I haven't met the quota? You better put a 0 there. If you don't put a 0 there, you'll get a word false instead of the number 0 if you haven't met the quota. Is that the correct if formula? Check it again. B6, yeah, my count greater than or equal to B5. My count greater than or equal to the quota. Comma, oh, I get the bonus there in B4. Comma, otherwise nothing. And I hit enter, and yep, that's correct. That's the bonus. Let's give my count 1,000. I do get the bonus. Count of 50. Sorry, don't get the bonus. So the if formula, practice. Given a word problem, something like that. We'll do more practice with that just before the final comes up. Now one more practice using absolute referencing.
Do we have to know how to do that part of the math, or will it give us like a final?
It'll give you a word problem.
Do we have to know like?
It'll be fairly simple, like when I have something greater than something else, or if I haven't caught enough fish, someone gives me 5,000 loaves. It'll be stated in a way that shouldn't be too hard to figure out the greater than or less. And it's going to not be super complicated, but it'll be something less than something else will then result in a change. So we'll give you more practice problems with that. You know what? Let me show you something I discovered. You probably knew it already. You guys are so smart. But if you go to somewhere like this, you can say to your friend ChatGPT, you can say, give me practice if formula problems in Excel. And it will give you the explanation of the formula and a problem explaining how you can use the if formula to solve little practice problems. So you can use AI not only to write your papers for you, which you're not supposed to. You can use AI to help you with practice problems if there's something you're having trouble with. And of course, you can go to YouTube and look for Excel if formula, and there's probably 1,000 people out there that explain if formulas. So many of them, though, out online are becoming robot voices explaining things. Very sad. So you can make those excellent videos, giving a personality to those videos out there. So if you want practice problems, AI can help you with practice problems as well. Just something that you might enjoy. And test which AI gives you better practice problems, more understandable. Now it's time for absolute referencing help. And we're going to do that by building a multiplication table. How in the world is that going to help us with absolute referencing? Let's see. I'm going to make a multiplication table for my little brother, and I'm going to put some numbers in there to practice multiplying. There's going to be a row of numbers to multiply, and I'm going to make 2 numbers and then continue the sequence out. And here I'm going to start with 3 and continue out by doing a 4, and then selecting the 2 and continuing that sequence of numbers. Now I'm going to make a multiplication table for my little brother to practice to excel at his math skills. So first I'm going to give him the formula equals what's in that row times what's in that column. That will be the multiplication problem and solution for that, multiplying 2 by 3. Oh, good. Let's now copy that down. Uh-oh, that's not the right answer. What do I do to get the right answer for the multiplying problem? I guess I can't do that. I better fix this so when I copy it down and across, it gives me the right answer. It also messes up if I copy it across. Oh, those are the wrong answers. How do I fix it so I get the right answer if I copy this formula down or across? Think about it this way. When I go down to cell below it, what does not change when I go down? What should not change as I go down? The C? The 9? The B? The 10? Where do I need to stick the $sign so the thing doesn't change as I go down? What does not change as I go down? The C? And the 9. Yeah, as I go down, the C won't change. Even if I don't put a $sign in it, the C won't change. So I don't need to put a sticky on the C. Just the 9, that is correct. As I go down, I want to be sure I do not want to go down to the next row when I'm referencing this row. So I put the sticky on the 9. Now, think of it the same way. If I go to the right, what do I not want to change when I go to the right? The C, the B, or the 10? As I move to the right. The 10 is not going to change, and what will want to change as I go to the right? The 10 is not going to change if I'm in the same row anyway. Will the B want to change? Yeah, we don't want the B to change though, right? Because it's going to want to change to a D. We want it to stay a B whenever I do the multiply. As I go all the way here, it's going to be B3 times G9. So that's a kind of a little test. We call this the mixed referencing. And remember, we only need to worry about this if we're making a copy of a formula. Like we have a huge table, we've calculated for one row and we want it to work for all the rest, but there's a reference to the number of children you must have before you can receive this benefit or something. Well, if that's an assumption that stays in one place, we want to make sure that stays before we start copying our formula. So we only worry about absolute referencing when a formula is being copied. So I can click that now, fill handle either direction, and then fill handle again down or across. And I have my multiplication table. Let me show you a shortcut. If I know I have the formula right, I can Control-C copy, drag through the area I want that formula to be copied to, and Control-V paste, and it puts in there all at once. I don't have to do this fill handle stuff. Copy, paste into multiple cells. Now you're an expert at absolute referencing, guaranteed to ace the final. If you go practice all this, if you understand it completely. So more practice will help you. And again, you can ask AI to give you a practice. Let's see if it'll do that. Give me practice problems with, where'd my AI friend go? There it is. Drag them over here. Give me more practice problems with absolute referencing. I want to go full screen. There we go. Oh, there. Ask AI practice problems. Practice, got to spell right. Problems, Excel, absolute referencing. Look at that. It gives you some little practice problems. So, there you go. That is it for today. No class on Friday. We're taking our little field trip. Yes. Yeah, you. Yes, I'm. This is being recorded. This is being uploaded as we speak. Let's see how many hits